Thank you so much for coming today. My name is Ekta Markulier. I'm the Executive Director of the Small Business Development Center, and we are your presenting partners. That's okay, you can look at your Surface or your iPad on site. No, I'm just kidding. We're happy to be your presenting partners for the Expo of the workshops and business seminars we are running today to help you grow your business here in the Pikes Peak region. Before I go into who our presenter of our first session is, I'd like to introduce Dirk Draper, the new CEO and President of the Regional Business Alliance, to say a few words as well.
You don't just hold the mic. Okay. Can you hear me okay in the back of the room? I'll save the mic for a moment.
Well, you need the mic for the video.
I'll use the mic for the video. Good morning, everybody. My name's Dirk Draper. I'm on day 3 as the President and CEO of the Business Alliance, and I'm really glad to be here with you. I'll be here all day. I think I'm the only guy here in a red bow tie. It's very intentional. Find me. I'd love to talk to you. I'll be stopping around the booths. I'll be at our booth for the Business Alliance as well. And I look forward to getting acquainted with you and with your businesses. I've been in Colorado Springs for 12 years and know the community well and look forward to growing the small business community as an important part of our regional economy. I just want to, Mark, thank you for being here and presenting and talking about entrepreneurship. And again, just want to say welcome and thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Dirk. We have 1 hour for our first session, which is entrepreneurship. It's everywhere. As you know, in our region, we have a lot of entrepreneurship events, a lot of small business startups going on in our region. And Mark is going to talk about the mindset behind it. What are the habits you need? What's the mindset you need to be successful in what you do? I'm going to read a quick bio for Mark. If you didn't grab one of these programs, make sure you do that if you're going to be here for all 3 business seminars today. It is on that table when you walked in. And also there's bio pages. Mark is being banned over there for us, and pens, if you forgot your pen. There's a longer bio for Mark there, but as a quick introduction, I'm going to quickly read to you what's in our program. Mark Bittle is the Market Development Manager for CenturyLink of Southeastern Colorado. Prior to joining CenturyLink in May of 2011, Bittle founded Progressive Impact, a company that specialized in developing people and the organizations in which they work. His experience in developing teams and the strategies to accomplish mutual goals has been recognized nationally. Along with his remarkable accomplishments in 21 unrelated industries, Bittle also volunteers in experience with the following organizations: Colorado Springs SBDC as a consultant and a facilitator, and anything else we need him to do, right, Mark? Colorado Springs Regional Business Alliance, serves on the board for the Pikes Peak Therapeutic Riding Center, and Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Southern Colorado and the Southern Colorado Women's Chamber of Commerce. That is who your presenter is going to be today. I'm sure many of you have seen him out in the community supporting a number of events and organizations trying to make this community the best that it can be. At the end of this event today, I will ask you to fill out the eval form that is on your table. We are a federally, state, and locally funded organization, the SBDC, and your evals really help us be the best that we can be the next time we do this. We are your #1 SBDC in 6 states. We are your Region 8 award winner from 2014, and we want to stay that way moving forward. So please fill out those evals at the end, and I'll make sure I remind you. With that said, Mark? Yeah.
Woo! All right, how many of you have seen me before? Yeah. All right, so those are the people I can let down. How many of you have not seen me before? You're who I'm trying to impress. So, entrepreneurship, what does it mean, and how many of you have ever taken a risk in your life? How many of you like taking risks and doing it over and over and over and over and over again? All right, that's something about entrepreneurship. I've been in 23 different industries. I've been in retail. I've been through the fire academy. I've been in insurance sales. I've owned a mortgage bank. I've sold a mortgage bank. I've had a mortgage brokerage, a commercial finance brokerage. I've traveled the country as a national instructor in mortgage compliance. Mortgage compliance. That's about the same response that I got when I was teaching it to all of my participants around the country. I was one of 2 most sought-after subject matter experts teaching RESPA, fair lending laws, and everything else. Here's what I've learned from my mentors. You have to be interesting, you have to have energy, and you have to be able to increase your sphere of influence and be able to do that. I've learned a lot of what I've done organically. You know, as I grew up in the Olympic development program for soccer. I had great mentors that I'll share with you who those were, and I took something away from every single one of them. What I'm here to tell you is you have to continue to develop yourself, and you have to really, once I go through the 8 life lessons of an unlikely entrepreneur, I recently got certified to teach Who Owns the Ice House, the Ice House curriculum. Have you all heard of this program? Write this book down, read it, because this is the 8 life lessons of an unlikely entrepreneur. Don't squint here. How are you doing? Yeah, I'll let you borrow it for about 3 minutes. And funny story on that, back when I was 21 years old, I learned how to speed read, so I could finish that book in about 7 minutes, 43 seconds, and have a retention of about 86%. That's how much I love to learn. Now, I didn't always like to learn, and much like many other entrepreneurs, we like to go out there and just do it, right? We have an idea, let's get started. That's step 3. There's 2 steps before that, okay? I can always count on you, Greg. So if you haven't read this book, read it. I had the opportunity to teach last fall at Pikes Peak Community College, the AAA program. They actually required every freshman who tested into a developmental program to take that course. It's a wonderful course. It's a great program, but it's teaching them the same life lessons that they need to have to study, to have a commitment to work, have a commitment to school, plan their time accordingly, and really have that going. Are you ready to get started? Yeah. All right, it's 10:30 in the morning. I love audience participation, but not too much, Greg. So, just kidding. Through my experiences, I've learned a lot of different skill sets. And when I've learned these skill sets, and before I read The Ice House, I didn't realize how much I fit into these 8 life lessons. That's what's kind of cool of being able to, 37 years on this earth, developing yourself, and then really being validated to saying, I'm really not that crazy after all, right? How many of you have been there? So I came up with an acronym of myself, and it's Be Proud to Go to Work. And the acronym is be passionate about what you do. If you're not passionate about what you do, it makes it very difficult to go and do it over and over and over again, right? Be resourceful. Start building resources that you can surround yourself with. In 2008, September of 2008, I moved to Colorado Springs, and I didn't know a single person in Colorado Springs. I moved here, I didn't have a college degree. I dropped out my junior year of college back when I was 21 years old. I moved here, I enrolled in Regis, took 54 credit hours in 12 months, and graduated cum laude. What does that mean? I was ready to go back and learn, and I was ready to complete it. But not knowing someone in a community, and how many of you have lived here more than 3 years, more than 5 years? It's a tough community to kind of get in and network, unless you meet the right people. So I worked at the Marriott up on Rockrimmon. One skill set that I knew that I have is I knew how to meet people and I knew how to develop relationships. So I volunteered myself into the community, which is why Ekta asks me and Steve to do whatever we want to do. Not what we want to do. She tells us what we're going to do and we say yes. When do you need us to show up? But build those resources. And as a banquet server, I would look around every single banquet and I would see who the movers and shakers were. And I could look around in the room and say, okay, this person's introducing this person, then leaving the conversation to introduce this person to this person, and guess who I want to meet in that room? I can't do it when I'm the penguin on the wall, serving my oval and taking 8 trays, 8 plates to each table and serving. But I was almost invincible when I was working in banquets. Now when I was out in the community volunteering and consulting, I could go up to that person and say, hey, Steve, it's great to see you. I'm Mark Bittle. Start a conversation that way, knowing that Steve is going to find enough about me and then turn me on to someone else to say, hey, Mark, have you met Bob? And Steve's out of the equation, but he just gave me credibility. That's what I knew how to do in developing relationships when I was new to Colorado Springs. Be optimistic about everything that you do. If you're not positive, you aren't going to be able to surround yourself with other people. They just aren't going to be there for very long. Would you agree with that? So be optimistic. People ask me how I'm doing. I'm doing great. If I were any better, I'd be independently wealthy, doing what I want whenever I want. Just so happens that I'm passionate about what I do. I'm resourceful in getting it done. I'm optimistic. I'm different. I'm unique in how I do it. 4 years ago, Quest was in the market. How many of you saw Quest in the community other than getting a bill? A few. How many of you see CenturyLink in the community now? In the last 4 years, we've developed all of these. I'm going to talk about that, entrepreneurship, small business owners, and I'm going to define what entrepreneurship is. Okay? I work for an organization, and I'm an entrepreneur from the inside. So I'm unique in how I do it, and then be determined that nothing can get in your way. So be proud to go to work. Wake up. That's not just getting out of bed in the morning. That's actually turning the light bulb on and doing something. Get that fire in the belly that you had when you started your business, started your job, or decided what it is that you wanted to do for the rest of your life. Get organized. You can't do anything unless you have a repetition or a plan to get it done. So get organized. Start building that plan. Build relationships. It's all about increasing your sphere of influence. What I tell all of those that I consult with and teach, when you're at an event like this, you're looking for 3 contacts. That's it. Develop 3 meaningful relationships, and it's a successful event. All of the exhibitors out there, their goal is to develop 3 relationships per person that's staffing that booth. If you do that, you're going to exponentially increase your sphere of influence within the community and raise awareness, which is exactly what an expo is for. Would you all agree with those? So be proud to go to work. I came up with that in 2009, and some days I question some of those letters, as most of us sometimes do. I wrote a book in 2009. The people who know how will always work for the people who know why. The reason that I say this, you need to continue asking questions. If you're not continuing to develop and seek knowledge, you're becoming stagnant. And all of us have grown our positions to wherever we are to a level that we've just kind of hit this plateau. You all been there at least once before? You've hit this plateau. Well, that plateau typically occurs when you're not challenging yourself to continue to better yourself. Does that make sense? That's when someone needs to light a fire under you, or you need to light the fire under yourself, start surrounding yourself with people that are going to encourage you to get it done. I like definitions because everyone has a different definition for an entrepreneur. Everyone has a different definition for a small business owner. Everyone has some of you may not even heard of an entrepreneur before. And then I want to define the entrepreneurial mindset as Clifton Talbert defines it in Who Owns the Ice House and what I taught for a semester at Pikes Peak Community College and what the SBDC puts that course on. So I want to go through these. An entrepreneur is an individual who starts and runs a business with limited resources and planning, taking account of all the risks and rewards of his or her business venture. The business idea is usually a new innovation, it's a product or service, rather than an existing business model. Can we all agree that this is a definition of entrepreneur that we can discuss today? So they take risks. Little or no planning. And they just do it. And they learn along the way. Is that an expensive way to get things going? But no one's ever done it before, so guess what? There's only a few of us that are crazy enough to do it. Right, Steve? What are the primary differences between a small business and entrepreneurial ventures? Small businesses usually deal with known and established products and services. Entrepreneurial ventures are for new, innovative offerings. Small businesses deal with known risks. Entrepreneurial ventures take a deep dive with lots of unknown risks. I can tell you when I started in the insurance industry with Principal Financial Group back in 1999, it was a huge unknown risk. But I was working for a large organization. It's easier to go in with a group of mentors that can help shape your way. I lasted 9 months. I made $13,000. And I said, enough. I can't live off of this. I retired. That's what you're able to do with the insurance industry. And that month that I retired, the deals that I turned over to my mentor, Pat Byrne, he ended up closing $13,000 in month 10. This is a great story. I still thank him every single day for taking care of those clients. An entrepreneur. It's an inside entrepreneur, or an entrepreneur within a large firm who uses entrepreneurial skills without incurring the risks associated with those activities. Entrepreneurs are usually employees within a company who are assigned a special idea or project and are instructed to develop the project like an entrepreneur would. Entrepreneurs usually have the resources and capabilities of the firm at their disposal, and the entrepreneur's main job is to turn that special idea or project into a profitable venture for the company. So I talked about doing all of this. We sponsored the Colorado Springs Sky Sox, the Colorado College Athletic Department, Broadmoor World Arena, Colorado Springs Small Business Development Center, Cheyenne Mountain Zoo, Business Alliance, the Conservatory, Women's Chamber, Tri-Lakes Chamber. All of these is what we've developed. Now, how many other organizations in the community can say that they're involved in all of those different things? How important are being involved in the community to this community? It's a lot different in Denver. It's a lot different in Phoenix, Albuquerque, and Santa Fe. Night and day. It's almost as night and day as Colorado Springs is different from Pueblo. Okay? You have to know who your market is and you have to tailor to it. But it's not just writing a check, it's bringing those to life. How many of you have seen the CenturyLink trailer? 30-foot trailer, 30 or 3 50-inch TVs, 4 iPads, a mountainscape on the inside. I didn't want it to be a sales vehicle. Okay? That surprised my boss when I told her that. I said, this isn't for sales. This is for experiential marketing. I want people to see it, touch it, taste it, smell it, feel it. Guess that's twice. Hear it. I wanted to get into the market and bring it to the community so the community could actually see what it is that we do. And I used the entrepreneurial within me, the entrepreneur, the entrepreneurial skills to bring that to life. And everyone said it's never worked in any other market. We don't get sales from it. Well, I can tell you, you can get sales from it. It's just hard to track those. That's another challenge within an organization. What is the entrepreneurial mindset? Successful entrepreneurs have the ability to lead a business in a positive direction by proper planning and to adapt to changing environments while understanding their own strengths and weaknesses. I'm a shy, so I have to understand that that's a weakness for me, right? The entrepreneurial mindset is much different than an entrepreneur defined, than a small business owner defined, or than an entrepreneur. It's a mindset, so it's a shift. Any one of us can develop a mindset because it's a change in the habits that we have. Not all of us are entrepreneurs. We can't stomach that risk over and over and over again. I developed this equation in 2007. Can any of you solve this problem? Okay, I heard Mercy.
Are all the fees different?
Yes. Okay. And what's interesting about that is trying to get my mind around it, every P is actually different, whether it's bold, italic. Yeah. So, the first P. In 2003, I hired a business coach, John Viviano. I had my mortgage consulting business at the time, the commercial finance business at the time. I was traveling the country as a national instructor, and I was president of the Iowa Association of Mortgage Brokers. I hired a business coach because I was definitely overloaded. I didn't have any free time, and I was wondering why. Because I hadn't learned that no is a one-sentence word. So productivity is divided by the people that you hire times the policies, the procedures, the product, and the plan that you have in place to the 10th degree. And all of that, if you take productivity divided by people, policies, procedures, product, planning, that's going to equal your profitability. So all of the books that we end up buying or that end up selling on Amazon or in the bookstores are talking about profitability. Some of them are starting to say, wait a second, we need to focus on how to become more efficient or productive within an organization. Now, if you spend more time working on becoming more productive, that's going to get you more results to your bottom line. So what are the other compensating factors? This was fun, going out with a bunch of friends for a few months saying, all right, I need to come up with sales. What is that? Well, that's peddling. I need to come up with marketing. Well, that's promotion. What other problems do we have in the business? Well, this week it's payroll. Phones, paperwork, production, pressure, personal problems are different than any other problems that may occur in your business. So productivity is what we really need to dial down to. And with an entrepreneurial mindset, we have to recognize those opportunities. Where can we do that? So the basic principles of the entrepreneurial mindset, the power to choose. We all have to realize that we have a power to choose any decision that we go, whether it's down this path or down this path. We have to recognize those opportunities, they exist, put those ideas into action, don't wait. I consult and I teach with many people that, well, it's just not perfect. Well, tell me the last time in your job that something was perfect. But now you got your skin in the game and you have your money on the table, right? It's never going to be perfect and you can always make it better. But put those ideas into action, continue to pursue knowledge, define and create wealth, what it means to you, build your brand, create community, and the most important, be persistent. So you have a choice. We all have a choice to take something away from every experience that we have and every person that we have to interact with, even if we don't realize it at the time. We all have the opportunity to choose where we are going by defining who we are, what we do, how we react to things, and we need to surround ourselves by positive mentors. I can tell you from when I was 6 years old. That's feedback from out there. I'm sorry. When I was 6 years old, I went to school, and I went to school every single morning, and Mrs. Jesperson would welcome me. Good morning, Mark. Mrs. Jesperson was my kindergarten teacher. First grade, I'd go to school, and Miss Post was right there, ready to educate me. Mrs. Malahy was second grade. Mrs. Pugh was third grade. Mrs. True was fourth grade. Mrs. Tixon was fifth grade. And in sixth grade, I had Mrs. Metzger as my class, and then we'd swap with Mr. Stillwell in the afternoon. I took something away from every single one of those people, and at the time I didn't realize what it was. Until about 24 years later, and so I was 12, so 25 years later, 26 years later, I can actually say that Mr. Stillwell gave me something that changed my life forever, and I still carry it with me today. And it always freaks someone out when someone says, well, it's falling apart. Well, it's 25 years old, people. And this is probably the second one that I've had in my wallet. This is a poem that we had to memorize. This is a poem that we had to memorize, one of two poems. The first poem was Don't Quit. The second poem that I just pulled out of my wallet is Be the Best of Whatever You Are. So I'm 12 years old. I have someone of influence that's teaching me what they want me to take away from their class. And I can still recite it today. If you can't be the pine at the top of the hill, be a scrub in the valley, but be the best little scrub at the side of the rill. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a bush, be a bit of the grass. Some highway happier make. If you can't be a muskie, then just be a bass, but be the liveliest bass in the lake. We can't all be captains, some have to be crew. There's work for all of us here. There's work to be done, and we've all got to do our part in a way that's sincere. If you can't be a highway, then just be a trail. If you can't be a sun, be a star. It isn't by size you win or you fail, so be the best of whatever you are. That meant something to me, and I didn't realize it at the time, other than I have to memorize something else. Then I had to clean my room a few years later, and I found the poem, and it's been in my wallet ever since. Have you all ever had an experience like that? I stopped by 14 years ago to see Mr. Stillwell. He was principal of Phoenix Elementary School in West Des Moines, Iowa. I just gave a keynote presentation to Junior Achievement a couple of months ago for David Luce and their organization. There were 800 people there, high school students, 700 of them. I read that poem and all eyes were on me. What? They were captivated by it. I sent the video to Mr. Stillwell. He opened it up in LinkedIn and couldn't thank me enough. Meant so much to him. Have you reached out to your mentors to do that recently? So the power to choose. With the help of my mentors, I have learned that there are tools that we can use to keep on track to developing our entrepreneurial mindset of being proud to go to work. We all have the opportunity to choose to take something away from every experience and every person that we come into contact with, even if we don't realize it at the time. That's the name of the poem and who wrote it, Douglas Malloch. Life is not a lottery. The ability to choose the way that we respond to our circumstances is fundamental to the success that we take away. So take the time to recognize how those choices that you're making, rather than the circumstances that you're in, will ultimately shape where you want to go. Clifton Talbert, in Who Owns the Ice House, explains this in much more detail, but that is the first step. You have a choice. Do you like what you're doing? Are you doing what you love? Are you passionate about it? Look at those choices differently. When I was teaching at Pikes Peak Community College last fall, I had a student come up to me, and it's a discussion class. And she said, "Well, I used to speed everywhere I went, and I had my children in the car, and I was an angry driver. And after you took us through this lesson, I realized that I don't need to be in a hurry. I have everyone that I want right around me. And we'll get there when we get there, and we'll get there safe, and we'll get there sound. And I don't speed anymore, Mr. Bittle." And I had others. Mr. Bittle, I have to go to court. I won't be able to come to class next Wednesday. Well, do you need help? No, I think, I might get a few days in jail. Well, what'd you do? We go through it. You have a choice, Billy. Do you want to take control of this decision or not? Because it doesn't sound like what you did. You need to go there. Do you need an introduction? And that goes back to resources. He didn't feel like he had those resources to be able to reach out to and ask for help. And he never did reach out and ask me for help. So he didn't make it to class that next Wednesday. You have a choice. Now you have to recognize opportunities, because problems are often opportunities in disguise. If you can see an opportunity and become a problem solver and learn that the secret to your success lies in your ability to identify those problems while working to find solutions, use that knowledge and experience to find solutions. Perfect example of this. Anyone recognize this? Oh, you've all seen it before. So top row of the keyboard, right? If you haven't seen it before, I can almost guarantee you have. You just didn't know it was in that order because it doesn't make up a word. But it's called the QWERTY keyboard. Now, recognizing opportunities is the second step to an entrepreneurship, right? What's the problem? The problem is on a typewriter, if you type too fast, what jams? The keys, the hammers. I used to have fun with that. My mother didn't think it was so much fun, but growing up, I'd put my fist in it, and it was cool to just see all of them lock up, right? That's exactly what I thought. So, I already sized up the room. So it's the top row of the keyboard. The keyboard's called the QWERTY keyboard. Why was it developed? The misconception was to slow you down. It was actually developed to increase productivity. So there's a problem. What's the opportunity? And how can we make people more productive? And remember when 80 words a minute was the bogey to hit? I think I'm about 32. Well, if you count the backspaces, I'm probably at 120. There was another keyboard that was developed because Dvorak developed a keyboard that was more efficient and was more of the modern age. Once we went to word processors and keyboards without typewriters, it increased productivity or efficiency by 20 to 30%, so less spelling, and it increased speed by about that same amount. Why didn't it ever get introduced into the market? Anyone know? The market? Marketing? Is that what
Marketing.
QWERTY was too familiar. So we have a lot of baby boomers. They were making money. If we came out and we were more efficient than them, what would we do? We'd put them out of work, right? Of course, I remember the computer was going to make a 20-hour work week. I'm still waiting on that. The internet was going to make the business world much more efficient. Thanks, Al Gore. So first step, entrepreneurial mindset is what? We all have the power to choose. Second step, recognize opportunities. Third step, you have to put those ideas into action, but you do have to do some market research. Just because you think it's a good idea doesn't mean that everyone else thinks it's a good idea, right? So do your market research, but think big, start small, and act fast. Become action-oriented and focus your time and energy on things that you can change rather than the things that you cannot. Take the time to learn how you overcome self-imposed limitations and put your ideas into action. How many of you have been sitting on something that you've wanted to do for at least 1 year? 6 months. 1 day. Put those ideas into action. You have to have a plan. There are ways to ask yourself questions, but at some point, you either need to do it or forget about it. Coming from a guy who wrote a book in 2009 and never published it. So don't do what I did. Just go do it. No, I'm serious. I've been sitting on it for 6 years. Anyone 6 years with an idea? Now I feel guilty. Can you help me?
Yeah, I've got at least one of those.
So put your ideas into action. The misconception is that people are paid by the hour. The fact of the matter is that we are all paid by the value that we bring to an hour, or the productivity per hour. So it goes back to that equation, right? So the misconception, we're all paid by the hour. No, we're all paid by the value that we bring to an hour. We all have the same number of hours in a day. It's what we decide to do with those hours that determines what we are worth. So continue to seek knowledge. You can increase your value by attending classes like these. You can continue to seek knowledge just by the experiences that you go through every single day. But the fourth step of the entrepreneurial mindset is to continue to learn. Find what you love to do and continue to learn. Our efforts can only take us as far as our understanding combined with our efforts. Continue to seek knowledge while combining traditional classroom learning with real-world interactions. What's the key there? Real world. We can all learn things in theory, but until we go out and do it and stumble around for a while, it doesn't become easy or ingrained or intuitive. So combine traditional classroom learning and real-world interactions, observations, experimentation, and adaptation. But you have to continue to develop yourself. Every single year, I like to tell Ekta that I'm voluntold for things. But the fact of the matter is, I love to teach. And the reason that I love to teach and I love to facilitate courses and I like to do that is because I learn so much more than anyone else out there. Because I end up putting it into practice up here and taking the problems that I'm hearing of, well, I have this business idea and I want to go out and I want to do this. And, well, I didn't think it was going to cost money. And try to problem solve. And then have folks that come through the class and say, I want to sell 200 $30 products each month to meet with people. I said, well, how about you do 12 and charge $200? Oh, I never thought about it. So it's that problem solving, but you end up learning, and it becomes like a skill that there isn't a problem that I can't overcome. So teaching to me allows me to reflect on myself and really think about how I can put all of this together and tie one to the other. An example, through teaching, we do a small business spotlight with the Sky Sox. Have any of you heard of the small business spotlight? So you can go online, you can nominate yourself, you can nominate another business. I encourage you to do that. We do that with Sky Sox, and I started looking at it, and I said, all right, small business spotlight, Sky Sox, CenturyLink, what does that mean? I said, Ekta, I'm going to volunteer you for something. I need your help. Can you help me, get the word out, and we bring this together? So then I brought in KOAA through a campaign that we did last year. I don't think it was approved by corporate, but don't tell anyone. Most of the entrepreneurship programs are not. But just kidding. To the camera. So we brought in KOAA. We did a localized campaign because what do we like to see? We live in Colorado Springs. We work in Colorado Springs. We play in Colorado Springs. We don't want to see someone moving a TV into a jungle to watch Prism TV in the jungle in Colorado Springs in the middle of winter, right? We want to see CenturyLink's involved in the community through SkySox, Small Business Development Center, and putting a small business spotlight out there. So we bring all of these together, and it ended up being a great program, 1 for us, 2 for SkySox, and 3 for the SBDC. The exposure was tremendous, but it was bringing in all of that energy together that I came up with while I was probably teaching your class. So continue to seek knowledge, but find out what you like and what that means to you. I had a quote in my office that I guess I said at some point in time, and my production manager at the time when I owned Mortgage Innovations wrote it down, put it in a nice frame, and I put it on my shelf. But the biggest fears that most managers have is to train their staff for fear that they will leave. My biggest fear as a leader and a manager is to not train my staff and have them stay. I'm looking at some of you and that almost felt like it hurt. Y'all got that concept, right? Inadvertently, I ended up starting 7 mortgage companies in West Des Moines, Iowa over a 5-year period of time. When someone's ready to go, I don't want to hold them back. Because Kevin Wasmansky and Jason Duran at Access Mortgage, when 2 of their senior loan officers, Gene Phillips and I, decided to come together and start Premier Home Mortgage, a mortgage bank right down the street from them, they tried to smother us. And it didn't feel good. It didn't work, but it didn't feel good. We just had an American dream that they had, and they didn't understand that we wanted to do the same thing. So Jeremy Farmer, Matt Jennings, Charlie Chedester, Al Ruger, and the other one. Ended up starting mortgage companies, and I helped them along the way, and I gave them the format because I had a process that I could write a loan, mortgage loan, be in the file 4 hours and 56 minutes. I could get it closed in 12 days. That's how efficient that I got the process to be, and I had more time to do what I wanted to do. Now that's the American dream that I was working for. 2008, I went bankrupt, moved to Colorado Springs. I like to keep it real, in case you... Draw 9 dots on a sheet of paper in front of you. Please. Try to make them as even as possible, but doesn't need to be perfect. By using 4 straight lines, can you connect all of those dots without lifting your pencil? Show off. All right, for those of you that like to figure out puzzles and not get the answer right away, close your eyes. For the rest of you, here's how you do it. You have to think outside of the box. So the first step of the entrepreneurial mindset is what? Power to choose, right? Second step? Third step? Ideas into action. Fourth step? Continue to seek knowledge. Fifth step? Create wealth. Define what wealth is. And we're not there yet, are we? So create wealth. Define what it means for you. So many of us confine ourselves into a box. Right? Some of our managers and some of our employees say, well, that doesn't fit in the box. Well, I'll tell you what, if it fits in the box, I'm not going to play with it. So I created a cube. The same thing that you would do with what we did outside the line. We have one box in back. I'm going to label that, say, management, because they're behind the scenes. I have one box in front, or another square in front. I'm going to call those the employees, because they're forward-facing. I have another square on the side, and I'm going to call that human resources. I have another square on the other side. I'm going to call that sales. I'm going to have marketing on top, and I'm going to have compliance and technology at the bottom. And I'm going to draw lines, and now I have a cube. So I still have a square, it just looks different. It's 3-dimensional rather than what most people look at in a 2-dimensional way, right? I can fit more into my cube than anything else. But what does wealth mean to you? Does it mean spending or does it mean investing? And it's interesting because all of us have that, whatever, if you think one way, you can change that to another. It's that mindset. You have to recognize that opportunity. It's the same thing. I could have done the QWERTY keyboard in reverse, but I chose to do it this way because it made sense in this presentation. Does that make sense? So are you a spender or an investor? For most, it's not the lack of money that prevents them from prospering. There are fundamental concepts of financial literacy and many different perspectives. Learn how to manage your expenses, handle credit, and leverage your abilities to create sustainable wealth. Now, when I'm talking to freshmen at Pikes Peak Community College, for them, wealth is time. They're working a full-time job, they're going to school full-time, some part-time, and many of them have children or families that they need to take care of. So wealth to them is time. It's not education. It's not necessarily money. They need money to pay the bills, but their definition of wealth is so different than what we think. And at different points in our life, we have different definitions of what wealth means to us. Is it maintain? Is it grow? Is it safe? Is it risky? Is it all sorts of different things, right? But the entrepreneurial mindset, you have to define what this is. Think outside the box. Create your own wealth and what that looks like. But define it. Because until it's defined, you'll never know if you're there. Sixth step. Build your brand. What does brand mean to all of you? What is brand? Say that again. Okay.
The market perception of your offering.
Market perception of your offering. Okay, thank you. What does brand mean to all of you? Identity. recognizable? Is brand the same as marketing? I'm sorry, what were you going to say? Building on your reputation. Is brand the same as marketing? So what's marketing? Promotion. I like the P. Selling your brand. Building your brand. Marketing is actually, the purpose is to go out and acquire business, right? Branding is to go out there and tell your story. So the campaign, again, I'm a little different than most of my peers around the country. I believe that I can do both. But the brand here in Colorado Springs is the best in the country. The absolute best. 46% brand of choice, 64% unaided awareness. The next closest one was 41, 50, 58, I believe. And then there were a lot in the lower quadrant. We have the best brand here, but what I understand about brand is, remember, that actions speak louder than words. We're not only saying we work and live in the community, we're doing it. I don't only say I work for CenturyLink, I'm also active in the community. I want to build relationships, I want to increase my sphere of influence, and by golly, I want to help as many people get what they want, because if I do that, I'm going to get what? What I want. So actions speak louder than words. Become a problem solver and be reliable. This is the key to your success. Learn how to transform simple solutions into big opportunities by building a reputation of reliability. Your brand is what people see right now. Is that what people see in every other environment that you're in? That's a strong brand. I had another quote in my office. Remember Successories back in the, I guess it would be the early 90s? It was that shop in the mall that had all the pictures with the quote and then the quote underneath. So Successories. I was 17 years old. I was walking through Valley West Mall in West Des Moines, Iowa, and I love quotes. Absolutely love them. I think if it weren't for quotes, I probably wouldn't have learned anything from any of my mentors, K through 6. So it was a blonde-haired boy standing on a beach. His back's towards the camera. He's overlooking a pond, and his hands are in his back pocket. And it said priorities. 100 years from now, it won't matter the size of the house I lived in, the kind of car I drove, or the amount of money in my bank account. The only thing that will matter is the difference that I made in the life of a child. That's what I want my brand to be. And that's what it's been ever since I was 17 years old. I went to Simpson College, studied psychology, education, took social work classes, took everything I could before the advisor said, well, Mark, you can't take the 400-level psychology classes until you start taking some of these liberal arts classes. I said, I've never heard of liberal arts, and that doesn't appeal to me. I want to learn how to do this. So I transferred from Simpson, went to Iowa State, took as many psychology classes as I could, education, human resources, and they said, well, Mark, you need to take some of these things. I go, I don't know what zoology is, but that doesn't interest me. I'm not interested in that. I knew what I wanted, but they knew what they were trying to develop. And all of us have been there at some point in time that we don't want to learn how to do something that someone else says. But I come back to this, and as long as it's going down to what I want to accomplish and helping others accomplish their goals, that comes back to a brand. Create community. What does this mean? Take a sincere interest in others. Because if you take a sincere interest in others, you're going to create a deeper connection. When you're talking to someone, who's the most important? It's just the two of you. Who's the most important person in that conversation? They are. So what do you want to do? Hi, my name's Mark. How are you? Good. So what do you do? It's almost like a race to what do you do? And then when they ask you, Give it to them in 5 to 7 seconds. Hi, my name is Mark. I work for CenturyLink. I'm the market development manager. So tell me more about your business. Learn how to throw it back. They're going to think that's the best conversation they had all day, and they're going to remember you, right? But do it in a sincere way. I can tell when I meet people, I can actually remember the first time that I met them and where it was. Most of the time. Sometimes it feels a little stalkerish to the people when I tell them. But I have that ability because when I'm in that moment, I'm there. I'm listening to what you're looking for. You never know when you'll run into that Mr. Stillwell. You'll never know when that nugget is going to be given and what you're going to take away from that and what seed was planted that's starting to grow. The class that I was teaching last night, it's an entrepreneurial, well, it's a small business planning class. It's an 8-week program at the Small Business Development Center. And the questions that I start asking in the order that they need to be asked, I watch the nonverbal communication. So 55% of what you all are hearing me say today is my nonverbal communication. So I'm talking to you nonverbally while you're all sitting there talking back to me extremely nonverbally. 37% of what you're going to take away and hear from me today is the tone in my voice. What do I think is important? Where do I want to emphasize? And then 7% of what you're going to take away from me today are the words that I'm actually using. Does that surprise anyone? That's every conversation face to face. Phone conversations, 82% of what people are hearing you say is the tone in your voice because they can't see what you're doing. You can probably tell I have a little bit of Italian in me, but if I'm on the phone, you have no idea. Talking with my hands. 18% on the phone, people are hearing of words. So it comes back to brand and community and developing these relationships. If you have a lot of fillers and you pause a lot without any purpose for it, people are hearing that, and chances are you're leaving an impression that is going to make them either more likely or less likely to follow up with you. Surround yourself with other like-minded, forward-thinking, positive individuals. Understand that the power of positive influence and learn how to surround yourself with others who have been where you intend to go. Learn how to tap into a network of entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs, mentors, and trusted advisors within your own communities. And they're out there. You just have to seek them out. And if you ever want to seek out great mentors, great advisors, check out the Small Business Development Center because everyone that volunteers there does it on their time, for free, and because they have the sincere passion that they want to help you get over the obstacle that you find yourself in. Power of persistence. If it's to be, it's up to me. Be the best of whatever you are. I had to say this over and over and over again, and that was probably from soccer and being in competitive soccer and playing 3 hours a day for my entire childhood, 5, 6, 7 days a week, and traveling to tournaments all over the country. But if it's to be, it's up to me. There isn't anyone that's telling you that you can't do it. And if they are, you're in the wrong community. Surround yourself with others. There is no such thing as a get-rich-quick and expecting it to be easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. The secret behind every success is hard work, perseverance, and determination. Learn from your experiences, the importance of persistence, and the role that it plays on everyone's success story, or lack thereof. You all remember this? It all starts right here. You want to become an entrepreneur or entrepreneurships everywhere? I can tell you, you make decisions every single day that have a hint of entrepreneurialism. Are you an entrepreneur, small business owner, intrapreneur? Are you wanting to hone those skills and create a mindset that is going to continue to propel you forward? There are going to be some setbacks, but if you do it enough, it gets easier and easier. I've been in 23 to 27 different industries. I always forget a couple. I have a slide that I didn't put in here. 27 different industries, and I've loved learning every single one of them. I can tell you I was the best banquet server at the Marriott when I moved here in town. So good, I was promoted to bartender, and then so good that I was promoted to banquet captain, and then so good they wanted to, I said enough. So I went to go work at Kissing Camels for the next year. Started rubbing elbows with people out at Kissing Camels, the developers, the realtors, the elected officials, folks that would come in from San Antonio. Got to meet Libba Barnes, who used to be the former owner of the New Orleans Saints. Got to hold her Super Bowl ring. But started to develop those relationships because I saw that I had a choice. I could either just go to school, collect student aid after declaring bankruptcy that I told you about, and I could just hunker down and just be embarrassed. But you know what? If it's to be, it's up to me. I'm going to go out in the community. I'm going to go get it done. I'm going to meet as many people as possible. And where can I do that? I'm going to go to a banquet hall. I'm not going to bartend, which I've always wanted to do. So I did it. I don't want to bartend to make money. Oh, no, that's too simple. I want to go bartend so I can create wealth, which is meeting so many other people. So I made that choice. I then recognized the opportunity halfway through that I'm like, well, I'm pretty good at this. What if I do it faster, do it cheaper, get out of there earlier, be more efficient, have people set the forks, go around, set the water glasses, someone else filled water glasses with ice. We were efficient. We were getting an hour less per shift in pay so that we could save Marriott money. Well, I thought that was pretty cool. I then put my ideas into action, became the captain, started organizing everything else. I need to go back to my, what's the next step? Started to get on a roll there and I had to stop. Continue to seek knowledge. So I learned as much as I could about the hotel restaurant industry as possible. Same thing I did in the nursery and garden center. I know that 3 numbers on any fertilizer bag are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash. Nitrogen is going to green it up, phosphorus is going to grow it deep, and potash is going to keep it from disease. And I retain all of this information because I love it. It's almost like a puzzle. Then I want to go out and create wealth. Well, now that I defined wealth as going out there and meeting people, now I actually want to start monetizing on some of that. So my perception of wealth and definition changed. Build your brand. I've always wanted to be sincere. I've always wanted to help other people. I've always wanted to teach people. How can you do it better? How can you do it more efficient? How can you learn from any mistakes that I've had in my life? Create community, surround myself with other like-minded, forward-thinking people. It's so cool to look out here and see I've had many of you in my classes. I have many of you as friends. I have many of you as my mentors. And I look forward to meeting every single one of you because I want to meet as many people as possible. I'm not running for office yet, but and I'm persistent. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to get it done because I'm proud to go to work. I'm passionate, resourceful, optimistic, unique, and determined to wake up, get organized, continue to build relationships, and seek knowledge. I hope you all got something out of this today. Please go out and see the exhibitors. Thank you so much for the Small Business Development Center and CenturyLink for donating this room. To all of you today, there's 2 more sessions, and I think Ekta wants me to turn it back over to her. So.
Does anyone have questions for Mark first? Does anyone have a question before I close it up?
Yes.
So I wrote down the branding definition. What was the definition for the marketing?
The definition for marketing. It's going to be different now because that was branding is going out there and being who you are. Marketing is going out there with the purpose of having someone come to you. So it's a call to action. Great question. What other questions do you have for me? I'm an open book. Yes? So who owns the Ice House? Clifton Talbert is the author. And that goes much more into depth of those 8 life lessons. Very good. Other books that I would recommend would be Secret Service by John R. DeJulius. And another book if you're looking for a different way to market yourself, is Purple Cow. Is that Richard Gobin? I think is who that one is. Gobin is the last name. Purple Cow. Any other questions?
I'd just like to give an example of your brand, Mark. I live in the west side of town, and I came out to Mark, saw his trailer and everything, and I said, so can I switch now to CenturyLink? What's the data rate? And he goes, well, let me check. I want to be friends. I want to maintain a relationship. I want to be able to deliver what I said I could deliver. Happy, we would be friends if you switched to CenturyLink right now. I followed up with him a year later. He took the time out of his busy schedule and emailed me back. We still would be friends if he switched it. So he lived his brand, his reputation to basically maintain the relationship. So when CenturyLink is ready to deliver a product that I would value, that I'm going to go to market and say, okay.
You mean a product greater than 1.5?
Exactly. But that's your brand.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Thank you all very much. It's a pleasure. I'll be here all afternoon, so stop by.
Thank you all for making the choice to be here today. The Regional Business Alliance, the Better Business Bureau, and the Small Business Development Center are great partners in this region to make sure that we're helping small business grow here and bring you from the SBDC the education you need to do that. And by making the choice to be here, as Mark mentioned, your first step in being a successful entrepreneur, you're taking the right step to continue your education to grow your business. And the buck doesn't stop here. Unfortunately for Mark, he doesn't get that buck though. He just volunteers a lot with us. But as Mark mentioned, he's an open book. He's available to answer your questions after this workshop and for the continuation of your business. And he is a consultant with us, and he teaches a number of classes. So if you want to talk to Mark, you can always call us and we'll connect you with him. I want to say thank you to our consultants that give their time to us, because we wouldn't function without the 30 or so volunteers we have that teach our classes and volunteer their time. As Mark said, we are a volunteer-based company, or volunteer-based office, I should say. We're one of 14 in the state, but we're the only office that is based completely off of volunteers. So you know they're here because they are passionate about helping you. And we have a couple of consultants in here today. We have Mark and we have Steve, who is actually on the entrepreneurship team at Pikes Peak Community College. Raise your hand. And they actually work off of a Kauffman grant that supports programs such as Who Owns the Ice House. So you can talk to Steve more about that. And Steve is one of our generals. He can help you with a number of topics at our office. We can talk to you more about branding if you have questions about branding. We can talk to you about marketing. We can talk to you about legal, whatever legal assistance you have, and it's all free. So remember, we're here for you even after today. I want to say thank you to our staff. We do big things with only 3 of us that are actually paid in our office, and that's Carolyn, there in the corner, the quiet one. She's our administrative assistant. Rita Pantoya, who many of you know if you've been around with us. She is our office manager. That's not the right title for her. She actually runs all of these programs, puts them together, and makes sure you have what you need when you come to them and then leave again. And then I'm the executive director, and I just talk a lot. So I'll just try and wrap it up here. Mark and I, we gonna get that. I want to remind you that we're breaking for lunch. We'll be back here at 1 o'clock for our next panel, which is very exciting. We just launched this year Courses for Creatives with a number of partners, and we knew that many of you in the creative area, that doesn't mean that you're an artist even. That means you like to be outside of the box with your business as well. We launched this program to cater to you. And the next panel are those individuals that have turned their creativity into profit, and we're going to help you understand how they did that and what you can do to make that happen. So that's at 1 o'clock. There's lunch being served out on the Expo floor. The World Arena has a station down at that end. You can always see us at our booth. We're going to be here all day as well. And then we wouldn't be here without our sponsors. And all of you know that that is really important, even as a business, to have that kind of support. So first, El Paso County, thank you so much for being our host and taking us on board January 1 of last year. Thank you to Nancy here videotaping us. If you want to re-watch this video, it will be on YouTube in about a week and a half-ish. Thank you to Colorado Springs City of Colorado Springs. Thank you to the Small Business Administration. And thank you to CenturyLink, who is a corporate partner of ours and who actually allowed us to have this room for free, which is an amazing room for workshops. So thank you, Mark. Thank you, CenturyLink.